Yes, sir. Good evening. Members of the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishes to address the council form located on the side of the counter and give it to the chairman of the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual members or staff are not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and actions, and comments should be limited to the issues and cannot involve individuals or staff related matters. Also, we would like to have all cell phones and electrical devices used for communication, and it should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. The meeting, the budget, Public Service Committee will be called to order. I will give the invocation and pledge allegiance. Heavenly Father, after we stand, sit, or in the presence of this area of God, we understand that the land of the living is only a gift from you, God. And as your will is done, God, we acknowledge the bereavement of families, the children, the Adams family of God, and those other members of the Terrebonne Parish. May that the grace and mercy that you've actually had them safe through their lives of God, that the grace and mercy that will lead them on. We ask you to bless their families and their souls of God and all the Son Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Harding.
Here.
Mr. Michaud. Mr. Amity.
Here.
Ms. Domingue.
Here.
Mr. Darren Guidry.
Here.
Mr. Bavin.
Here.
Mr. Dirk Guidry.
Here.
Mr. Trosclair.
Here.
Mr. Tillman.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you very much. Before we get started, we'll actually for a bill announcement for the public.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We felt it was for the public record and just as a courtesy to the public. We did originally have the condemnation hearings for January scheduled tonight, but because of the change of venue and in order to be in keeping with public notice requirements, that meeting date has been moved to Monday, February 27th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. And that meeting will be taking place in the Government Tower second floor area and barring any delays in the construction or replacement of any vehicle there. And just as a further note for that, and just for information purposes, right now I think we have between 25 and 30 items on that condemnation agenda. We do those quarterly, so the next round will be in April. But we have right now open over 300 condemnations. And some of those were pre-storm and some of those are post-storm. And I imagine that number will continue to rise. But we will continue to work with those residents who are interested and eligible for the FEMA public or private property demolition. So if you are interested, please contact the Parish Solid Waste Department or our contractors for that. Thanks.
Yes, Mr. Bavin.
Yeah. Chris, while you're up here, a couple of things. You know, we get a lot of people in the community say, man, you know, we got blighted property all over. To hear that we have over 300 cases that we're working, I want the people to realize that the department is working to try to solve all of this, you know, blighted property in the past. Second thing is, and it may be legal, but it doesn't have to come up here tonight. Can we only have condemnations every 3 months, or can it be more often, depending on how you settle the cases, with the number of cases that you have?
Well, as far as having them quarterly, I think that's been the routine because of the amount of time that it takes behind the scenes, if you will, to prepare those items for condemnation. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it procedurally that we have to do per parish ordinances, per state law, We have doubled the size of the nuisance abatement division when we were doing that before Ida came along, and I'm glad that we did, because I've been saying that, it's been fortunate in that regard. So they are definitely going to get busy. It's just going to be a matter of how many, cases can we process to determine, if we have to continue to do them quarterly, or if we can increase that. So it's a matter of discussing not only with legal, but with the division as well.
Thank you.
And I might add, we have over 300, as we go on, and we look at the time, 26 at a time, the numbers are increasing, so therefore, we go behind the numbers.
Thank you.
Also, Ms. Brandy, Michelle was out of the movie present, 533.
Got it. Thank you.
Item number 1, resolution authorizing the signing and agreement of firm Lofton Industrial Service LLC to provide personal staffing for solid waste and vegetation control.
Second.
Been moved and second, moved by Mr. Steve Truckfast, second by Mr. Darren Gidley. Discussion. I have a question. Someone able to answer, how many employees do they have? Is someone here? Did you answer?
I would have to get with Mr. Clay, I can't answer your question, Mr.
Yeah, and it's only a reason, we're paying so much, I want to know how many people we can put through one part, well, it's one employee for $300,000, just want to know how many employees that they have, or something like that. That's just one maximum employees.
I think it varies from week to week. It depends on the turnover, and we found, at least Clay has, talking to him, that it's more inexpensive for us to hire through Lofton than to go through the process of hiring, processing, because we have such a great turnover in that department.
Okay, thank you. Motion that has been put forward before us by Mr. Truster, second by Mr. Darren Gidley. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, resolution awarding the office and authorizing the signing of contract with New Jersey Substation Supervisory Control and Data Support for Acquisition Systems, Parish Project number 22-SCADA/UTL-55, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Moved by Mr. Dan Dada, second by Mr. Alvin Tillman. Any discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, resolution authorizing the renewal of ESRI Geographical Information System leases for license for 2023. Moved by Mr. Gerald Michelle, second by Mr. Gidley. Any discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, authorizing the execution of the change order number 3 for the construction agreement for Parish Project number 21-0-18 2021 asphalt project, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Moved by Mr. John Allenby, second by Mr. Dirk Gidley. Any discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 5, resolution providing approval of amendment number 2 to the engineering agreement for Parish Project number 21-0-18 2021 asphalt project, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. Moved by Mr. John Allenby, second by Mr. Dirk Gidley. Any discussion? All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, Mr. Michelle makes a motion to adjourn, second by Mr. Trustwell. All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Those in the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wish to address the council form located on either end of the counter and give it to either the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members as the staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words and actions. And comments shall be limited to the issue and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. All cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silent for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee meeting of January 23rd, 2023 to order. And I'll have an invocation of the pledge by Mr. Tillman. Please rise.
Dear Father, we come to this time to give you thanks for your blessings. Father, we ask in prayer that the things that we do and say here tonight will be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. And we ask that you lead and guide and direct our thoughts. These are all prayers we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. President to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Brandon, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Harding,
Here.
Mr. Michel,
Present.
Mr. Amity, Ms. Domingue, Mr. Darren Guidry,
Here.
Mr. Babin,
Here.
Mr. Dirk Guidry,
Here.
Mr. Trosclair, Mr. Tillman.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, Ms. Brandy. Item 1, approve the co-sponsorship request for the Irish Italian Parade for the Irish Italian Parade to be held on Sunday, March 19, 2023 at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. in downtown Hoboken. Moved by Mr. Babbitt, second by Ms. Domingue. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Item 2, resolution approving the holding of an election in Recreation District Number 7 of the Parish of Terrebonne, State of Louisiana, on Saturday, April 29, 2023, to authorize the renewal of the special tax therein. Move by Mr. Harding, second by Mr. Trosclair. All in favor? Aye. Any nays? Motion carries. Item 3, concurring in Recreation District 2-3 of the Parish of Terrebonne, Terrebonne Parish, State of Louisiana, concurring in that resolution adopted December 7, 2022, relative to the issuance of not to exceed $4,500,000 of limited tax bonds and making application to the State Board Commission in providing for other matters. Moved by Mr. Michel. Second by Mr. Darren Guidry. All in favor? Okay, Ms. Domingue? Or Mr. Michel?
Thank you, and I saw that we have a single here. Mr. Clark, you want to come up and ask some questions? I always get a little hesitant whenever a bond comes in front of us. So what's the plan for this $4.5 million?
So apologize a little bit. Our bond attorney was supposed to be here. He got hung up in some court cases there. He was left in. So I'll try to answer what I can. The bond that we want to go for, the biggest thing is the gym repairs. We're looking at, in our tax renewal, we asked for a refurbishment of police park. The constituents approved that renewal. So that was all part of our tax plan from the get-go. Then we had Hurricane Ida that took out some more, probably close to another $1 million of repairs. So all in all, the gym repairs, we're looking at $2.4 million refurb and repair to the police park gym. We cannot afford that without saving money over the course of probably about 4 years. It would take us to save that money to refurb that. We can bond that out and get that project done. So then we looked at, if we're gonna bond out the money, let's bond out the capital we have and start repairing and upgrading some of our other facilities. So the next project after that is putting, we spent $500,000 and we just opened up the Lisa Park playground. We're looking at something similar to that at Westgate Park, which is behind Fort Worth on 311. Gonna put somewhere around $500,000 into that. We reached out, and this is part of the task force, where it was going back and forth with Miracle League Buddy Ball. And the facility, that was part of the first game that was, I know a lot of you guys was there. It kind of movement, got a touching, watching those guys get out there. They have no place to play. You know, talking to Mr. Eric Lambert, who was on the task force, they traveled to New Orleans, and it's not just her. There's quite a bit of people in this area that travel out there. So we backed off on it because we heard that there was having a project as far as moving to the east side. Heard that fell apart. So I reached out to her, and that's part of something that we're looking to go into again. We reached out to Miracle League. We have 2 properties, MLK, since the opening of Body Country, the participation at that park has dwindled. It's still being used. It's not quite as what it was in the past. So we want to turn that park into Miracle League. We've reached out to the Miracle League, and not just volleyball. We've actually reached out to the Miracle League, and they huge supporters of it. To get that park to open and to turn that into Miracle League, which the front 2 fields we want to turn it into the soft surface, rubberized surface, cement surface that you roll on. The other field on the other side, we want to turn that into a big old 88 accessible playground. Miracle League will not open, I told that to Mr. Michelle before the meeting, they will not open a facility or sponsor a facility that is not where they have normalized recreational facilities where, everybody else is playing. They want them to be adaptive there. We feel that's a place to be, and we can put it there. It's right there on MLK. We will talk to Miracle League on the price tag, and we're looking at somewhere about $1.5 million. Our board looked at it, we talked about it, we started reaching out to private donors, and there's quite a bit of interest, regionally, not just in Houma. So we have some people that's on the hooks as far as giving some private donations. Inside this bond, our board has approved up to $500,000 to go into that particular project. So that's where the other half comes in. So now I'm up to $3.4 million between Lisa Park and those 2 projects. Southern Field. Southern Field is the only high school public facility in this parish. Only one that a high school team can go to. We all know the situation the high schools was in last year. You still have 2 teams that are struggling to have a home field. I believe they will now, but we want to put this to where they had 3 teams, I believe, last year, using the only turf field at Terrebonne. We want to go ahead and put this in there. Us putting turf on top of the field will allow more accessibility for the high schools. It'll also allow more adaptive age groups, I should say, but you ought to participate there. And it'll also allow us to start hosting more tournaments. We hosted tournaments in the summer in the past in conjunction with Nichols. When they would play there, Nichols put turf on their facility, they stopped coming to Terrebonne Parish. We put turf on our facility, and now we can pay for it. That's $375,000. So now I'm at 3.4. We know from in the past to upgrade a playground, you're looking anywhere in between $100,000 to $250,000 just a playground feature. So we want to upgrade, so we want on the high side, $200,000. We want to change the playground at Southdown and the playground at Roselands. So I'm at 3.8, and that gives me a little bit of cushion in between on the bond that we got. That, according to our attorney, that's not set in stone, the number we have. This is basically a proof what you can get up to and what we can afford. To get to that number, we know we're making between 1.2 and 1.4 after land taxes. Our maintenance budget is at $600,000. That gives us $800,000 a year, somewhere between $600,000 and $800,000 that we get every year to spend the capital projects. We got 7 years left on our renewal. You time that all up, that gives me $4.2 million in capital that we have. We know, like last year, we give our maintenance budget $600,000 on our capital. We only spent $350,000. So that extra $250,000 rolls on into capital projects. Same thing's going to happen every year. We feel like until the maintenance grows. So inside our 7 years, we feel like we have up to $4 million of capital to borrow on the rest of this renewal. Hence why you see the number where you see only 5. That does not mean we're going to go up to that amount. We're not going to pull it. We got to get the actual amounts once we go to get the quotes and everything. We just have an idea of where these projects are going to be and what we're going to drop into each particular one.
And I'm trying not to give you a hard time with this. I just have a lot of heartache about bonds. I mean, we have another recreation district that they bonded out for the same amount and ended up only fixing the jump with that amount of money after it was all said and done. Now they have no capital to be able to do any improvements or any of their playgrounds because they're stuck in this bond. So I just don't want to see this happen to you guys. Of course, I love every project, especially the bunny ball project, and I actually have plans for that bunny ball project. I've been carrying around for about 2 years, so definitely call me about that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Lisa Park Gym, and the damages. Have you guys went through the FEMA process for reimbursements, and where are you with that?
We're still going through it, and
Okay.
if you ever dealt with it, I'm sure y'all have, it's a process. It's a long process. We are hearing, we had insurance on it. One of the damages that we're gonna get, we're getting roughly about $100,000, not nearly enough to touch it. Just the roof wrap that they're gonna do is the same thing they did at the city center, I think Gustavo agreed to wrap the roof. That's $250,000 just on the gym, so we're not even getting enough insurance money to replace or wrap the roof. The FEMA, we reach out to them, they are gonna give some reimbursement on it, but a lot of the things that we're doing inside this gym was already pre-planned ahead of time, as far as the renovations to it. And as far as the renovations, they're not gonna touch some of it. So we don't know what there is gonna be some reimbursement off of there, but we don't know what that price tag will be until after it's done. You know that once the project's complete, you submit it and you didn't get what you're gonna
And
get
the
off of
gym
it.
could end up costing you $4 million. So all the other projects.
I don't think it's gonna cost that much. We asked our architect that's designing it to give us the highest price, and we actually going to our board meeting Wednesday, and we have not said that that's the highest that it should be at. Of course, there's gonna be some things that will change, but as of we started the project and we locked in the contract today, that is the highest. We are going to our board meeting Wednesday, and we may reduce some of the things that's inside of there, and they bring the project to 2.1, they bring it to 1.8, whatever the board at that point decides what the project is gonna be. They may twist it and change that price, but we asked them, we had a special meeting, and had a special meeting in the gym, and we walked around the whole thing and said, name everything that anybody want to get done, and we did that. And that's where the price tag came in, where the highest would be, again, as of today's price.
I'm gonna, of course, I'm not sure, but we'll go ahead and let everybody else ask questions. I might have some other things. Thank you.
Mr. Michelle?
Thank you. I'm not sure, Ms. Thorne, why you would say that it might go up to $4 million just for the gym. That's a huge difference. There might be some adjustments, but I can't imagine it's going to go anywhere near that. But the question that I really wanted to ask was, I don't, unless I missed it, if I did, I apologize. Did you talk about the dog park? I've got people calling me about that over and over again.
So inside the West Gate Park renovations that we're gonna have there, we are getting quite a bit of calls for the dog park, and that is part of it. So what we have foresee, and again, not set in stone, we're actually going to contract an engineer firm at this same board meeting Wednesday. But what we foresee is a new playground equipment. Again, we could say up to $500,000, and we think $200,000 to $250,000 to the playground. So we're thinking from that point, Mr. Guidry and I had a town hall meeting there, probably over a year ago, pretty hot, I believe it was. And got a lot of the constituents' ideas, and we actually had a pretty good showing that day. A lot of them wanted a pavilion with a picnic, similar to what Lisa Parks has. So that's going to be part of the plans. A lot of them reached out about workout equipment that is now installed there on the backside. We've done that on our own. And then dog park. There's quite a bit of people that wants dog park. When we was in our district, we kept going around where we was going to put it and this and that. And since I've been chairman of the board, I've gotten 3 different emails and 4 different phone calls about dog parks in that particular neighborhood. So there's some really, really interest about a dog park at Westgate, and we feel we've got the room for it to put it there as well.
Well, I just want to congratulate y'all. Y'all are doing a great job. We talk about quality of life, and y'all are helping that from a recreation standpoint. Quality of life goes a lot further than recreation. But so there was another question I had, and if I think of it, I'll come back to it. But thank y'all very much for everything y'all are doing. It's just the improvements and everything are spectacular. And anybody's concerned about bonding out money, if they own a house, ask them if they paid cash for it, if they went ahead and took advantage and bonded out or borrowed the money for it. Because it's basically the same thing. We can do it now, or we can wait 7 years and do it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Hardy?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask a few questions for the Housing Association. With another recognition that's dealing with basically the same problem, not only for you guys and all support for the efforts and how we can actually help support you. How many years left on the village?
7 years.
7 years on the village. and David was actually mentioned also. And I noticed that, we did another recreation district reading, that there are some properties, within other districts that the past actually owned, the past have, some construction. Are you guys part of that position, the past own some, you're not in that position?
We have some property that the property is on, but there are facilities that we actually decide to be on.
Yeah, so there's no.
So the insurance that we have is all.
Okay, so y'all out there, so awesome. The grounds behind Lisa Park, that's, y'all share that with the school board, or y'all just have it there?
Yes, sir. The property itself is the school boards, and the gym and the building was built by Rec 23 and maintained by Rec 23.
Yeah, so y'all don't have no liability in reference to, facility of the grounds behind it?
No, sir.
Okay. The other thing, I like the fact that, Roseanne Park, because it's actually just right on that street with me, I had some conversation in reference to that, you know, it's a nice area, and perhaps, I did have some conversation how to do recollect and activate that, because it's an area.
I agree.
Yeah, so, I think it would be nice for people in that area to actually have, one's coming up and I think coordinate those things. So, in support of you guys, and I hope that, the journey that y'all are encountering is going to be successful.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Trustman?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple things. On the Lisa Park gym, you said that the original estimate right now was like 1.4.
Yes, sir. 2.4.
2.4. So it's only not going to go forward.
Correct.
My question is, about the baseball field, Southland Park. You know, I do know that upper high schools use the park, or one for sure. Have y'all approached those guys to see if they can give y'all any assistance on it?
We have, and there is something that's there. It's not set in stone. If we need assistance, it's there, I should say. Change my word. The assistance is there. I don't know if the board would want that yet, because then again, you're locked into that particular school.
Right.
And where if we can dump that right there, we can take it, it's still, you know, our facility.
Makes sense.
It's where the board stands, and there's a discrepancy on our board as far as that goes, because that has been approached and presented to us. We just haven't taken that option yet. But it is there if we want it, yes.
Okay, well, good, that was my question. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, introduce an ordinance to amend the 2023 adopted operating budget, 5-year capital outlay budget, and budgeted positions for the Terrebonne Parish consolidated government for the following items as provide for related matters. Williams Avenue multi-use path, $65,791. Valhalla shared use path, $614,000. Housing and Human Services, $69,436. Transfer grant rider, grade 206. Valhalla Boulevard Extension, $200,000. Elliott Jones Canal Pump Station, $108,985. Homer Fire Department, $3,130. Animal Shelter, $1,000. And calling a public hearing on said matter on February 8, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mr. Babbitt, second by Mr. Amity. All in favor? Aye. Any ayes? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn, Mr. Babbitt, second by Mr. Amity. All in favor? Aye. Motion, we are adjourned.
Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located on either end of the counter and give it either to the chairman or the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All public comments must be addressed to the council collectively. Addressing individual council members and or staff is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words or actions, and comments should be limited to the issue and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. Thank you. All cell phones and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee meeting to order and ask for an invocation and pledge by Councilman Darren Gee.
Dear God, because we live and have our needs, we ask that you be with us today as we deliberate the matters before us. May we make the best decisions as they affect our constituents, our parish, our state, and our nation. We ask this in Christ our Lord. Amen.
The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Gibney. Ms. Randy, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Harding. Mr. Michaud.
Present.
Mr. Amity. Ms. Domingue. Mr. Darren Guidry.
Here.
Mr. Rabin. Mr. Dirk Guidry. Mr. Trosclair. Mr. Tillman. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
Thank you, Ms. Brandon. Item number 1 is a motion to discuss committee meetings procedures. Mr. Tillman moves.
Second.
Second by Mr. Guidry. Dirk Guidry. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, but we're just moving to discuss. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Tillman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I kind of put this on here because I've been back for about a month now, and I find it kind of odd and difficult to come to committee meetings and not really being able to discuss when we come to a committee meeting. So I'm trying to figure out really why are we here? You know, because when I think about that and we have an item on the agenda and you can't talk about it, then what's the purpose of us being in a committee meeting? Can someone answer that for me? Mr. Attorney? Can you answer that?
Items that are on the agenda in the form of an order cannot be discussed on the night it's introduced. That's the only thing that cannot be discussed. So it is introduced, and by law, by open meeting law, it must be held over for 2 weeks, notice, giving the public a chance to appear at the meeting and be present to be able to discuss the matter on the night it's going to be discussed, so that all debate takes place at the same time. So that is the only matters that are not able to be discussed at committee meetings.
Now, when you say on the night that it needs to be discussed, okay, when it's on the agenda, let's say for example tonight. So you're saying that we can't discuss it tonight, we have to wait till we bring it over to the regular meeting to discuss it.
An ordinance.
Yeah.
Just an ordinance.
Because I mean, I'm looking at various things that have been at the meeting, we haven't really been able to discuss anything. Kind of like I feel like I'm suppressed, that I can't really.
No, I mean, everything except ordinances are not discussed at the night they introduced. That's been researched, legal opinions written, case law, attorney general opinions, is that you cannot discuss the night in Robert's Rules of Order.
Can you get that information to us as it relates to the attorney general's opinion on that? Can you get that to us?
That's been submitted, it's been submitted to the council, there's an opinion that exists.
Yeah, I'd like to get a copy of it. Now, let me read this out. Committees are groups of members appointed to investigate, debate, and report on legislation. So discussion is what we do. That is why we're here. Now, that's as it relates to our governmental. Now let's look at another one. And I'm bringing this to you because, like I said, it's kind of feel like I'm being suppressed at these meetings that I really can't discuss anything. Now, this is coming from, let's look at weapons, for example. A group of people appointed by a legislator to consider the details of proposals and legislation. You know, that is what we do. Now, I know we bring forward things other than ordinance here, but I would like public coming before that podium and right off the bat, they can't talk about it.
Well, then,
let me finish. Because I believe that who's ever chairman who's ever chairman, it's our responsibility here. But who's ever chairman can basically allow what he or she wants to discuss at this meeting. That is part of what their responsibilities are. Now, I don't know where that Attorney General's opinion is at. I wish you give me a copy. I would like to see how it's written. I really would like to see how it's written. I talked to Roland Tabs years ago. We never had that problem. But now, I don't know about anybody else, but I know I feel very suppressed. And I feel many of the items that we bring at this meeting, because we're coming to the meeting sometimes, we're out here in 10, 15 minutes, we're gone. Because everything's carried over to the regular meeting. So with that in mind, and not being able to discuss many items on the agenda, I just feel that it's almost a waste of my time to be here, because I'm just making the motion to get it over to the regular meeting. And if that's the case, let's just carry it over there. Now, do understand that all this have a time period to carry over. It deals with a lot of things we've been discussing at this meeting lately. Man, we haven't really been able to say.
Well, think about the flip side of that. Okay, and it's introduced in the public. You want to discuss that at the meeting, and the public's not being here.
Oh, well, I understand.
So, but that's the whole purpose of the open meetings law. With regards to having people that come up and are not on the agenda, the Louisiana the Louisiana Open Meeting Law, okay, require that we have an agenda meeting and everything be noticed on the agenda for what's going to be discussed. And so when somebody attempts to come up and discuss something at the meeting that's not been put on the agenda, that does not give everybody else in the public the opportunity to be able to be present to debate that item. And that is why it's not legal. So for example, if somebody puts up and wants to come in and discuss something and just on signing a public to be put on the meeting, develop a speaking comment period, and it's not been noticed, it's not fair to everybody else. And so what a lot of times happens is items are brought up that not only that other people in the public would never have an opportunity to speak, because those people walk in, they say what they got to say, they walk out. And then all of a sudden you wind up in a big discourse and a big discussion, and everybody else, and the next thing you know, somebody says, well, I didn't know that was going to be on the agenda. It's not fair to staff, it's not fair to the public, and it's not fair to the council.
Well, I think the majority of the meetings that we have, you have very few people that come here. But I believe that if I'm chairman of a committee, or if I'm chairman of this council, and somebody comes up there and they speak, I believe that it's open game. Once it's accepted that they can speak, then everybody else here have an opportunity to speak on it, because now it's before this council.
Well,
I believe that decision comes with whoever chairing those various committees and who's ever chaired that chair at a regular council meeting.
Well,
And I guess what we've done over the years is all illegal, I guess, but I've done it many times. As the chairman of this council, I serve as chairman of this council, and somebody comes from that public, they fill out their speaker card, they're going to speak. And when they fill out their speaker card, they come before this council here, they have an opportunity to speak. Open floor, you are all able to come up. So therefore, I should be able, as well as these council members, should be able to talk about it. And the other thing, if you have public here, and you have something on, if this council elect to discuss it, we can discuss it amongst ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
It's
But
gotta be
I'd
on the
like to say,
agenda.
just give me a copy of it. I like to see it, and kind of put it in resident.
let me explain to you, Mr. Tillman, and the reason why. This is not a political discourse. This is here to conduct an agenda business meeting. And to be honest with you, since it's being done that way, it's worked very well. Because the public understands that they gotta get on the agenda. And if they're not on the agenda, it won't be discussed. And that is that's not my requirements, that's the requirements of the open meeting law. This is an agenda business. You're here to conduct a meeting by an agenda. And if that's the case, then maybe we ought to just get rid of the agenda. And then you wouldn't be following the law at all.
Well, do let me just share this with you. This is a council meeting. This is a council meeting. As a council person and as the legislative body of this government, it is our authority and our right and it's our duty to discuss and debate the issue. This is how we craft laws. This is how we amend laws. I don't see how we can possibly do that if we can't ever discuss it. It just, but that's just my.
You can, it's just gotta be put on the notice and put on the agenda, very simple. You put it on the agenda, you give the public notice, you put it in notice, and everybody's got a chance. It's been noticed, not everybody's got a chance at the same time. A lot of times things come up that are brought up and then staff gets questioned, they're not prepared, the council members are not prepared. If it's put on the agenda, at least you got some time to get prepared. Just like tonight, you put this on the agenda to discuss this. So that's the way it's supposed to do this. Just rules, there's laws we have to follow.
There's one other thing, and I'm done. We get here, we bring on add-ons, okay? Millions of dollars to add-ons. The night before the meeting. This council never gets to see it until the night of the meeting. And I still can't get that. Why is it that an add-on can come with millions of dollars to this council, and we don't even get the opportunity prior to discuss it, but still yet we come here and expect you to vote on it that night?
That's an excellent point, an excellent observation. Even an add-on has to be voted on and discussed unanimously by the council. That's how tight the legislature has made the open meetings laws. If you want to discuss an add-on to make sure that the public knows that there will be a discussion, every one of you got to vote to add it on. So in other words, there's no add-ons that are brought up at this meeting to take debate and potential action that can be done without y'all voting unanimously to add on.
And I agree with that, but how could we as legislators do our due diligence if we get add-on, which like I said, millions of dollars, we get it the night before, or the night of in many cases, we get it. And then of course we vote, we get it, we'll vote on it, and then carry it over. But I think that what I'm saying is that we should have the opportunity to discuss that or know about that prior to the meeting. So I'm saying that.
Well, the agenda is posted.
No, add-ons is not posted to the county. That comes back, you might get that to the council maybe the night up sometime to get to. But just bring that to me so we can look at that. I'm gonna look.
Councilman, tell me, just let me explain it. The add-on you're talking about, are you talking about an add-on that may be put on the item, or let's say a budget add-on, and then it's passed by a resolution, versus an item that is added on to be added to the agenda that was not previously put on the agenda? Because those are two separate items. If that's what you're talking about, then we're over here, we're like this.
I guess I'm talking add-on in general, but we'll discuss that.
Add-ons by law, I think everybody that sits on here knows that if we put an add-on, I didn't have, I think Dirk helped me out not long ago, I had an add-on, we put an add-on, requiring unanimous approval. I put it on the agenda.
I certainly understand.
I tell you what, if you want to be.
I had one other thing.
Sure.
As it relates to add-on.
Yes.
I remember when I became chairman, and we used to have add-ons coming on like every meeting got add-ons and add-ons. And this is the power and authority of that chair from any committee as well as the regular meeting. The night I took over as chairman, I hit that gavel and I said, there will not be any more add-ons coming over here unless this council have ample time to go over it. Now, we will get the add-on in the stacks. And guess what? Guess how many add-ons we had after I became chairman? 3.
Well,
So I'm just saying, if this is the council, we can do pretty much discuss whatever we want.
If my memory serves correctly, at one time, the add-ons were allowed according to the open meeting state laws that we have to follow by 2/3. They changed it to unanimous vote. So to make sure that add-ons are, you gotta give a valid reason why you add it on without an agenda item. But I'd be more than glad to sit down with you and show you everything on it. Okay?
Yeah, Jules,
Mr. Bagger?
while you're up there, an add-on that comes up tonight, Wednesday night at a meeting, how does the public know about it? if it came up the night before or the day of the meeting? How does the public know about it then?
They don't, that's why add-ons have to be voted on by unanimously, and you gotta give the reason why
Well,
you're
I
doing it.
understand that.
It's generally done in emergencies.
I understand that, but if the 9 of us know about it, and the purpose of the item is to let the public know, how do they get to know?
Well, Mr. Biden, the law, the opens meeting law allows for add-ons in emergency situations. You may have a situation where you have to take it up, okay? And so the law allows for that. But the protection is to make sure that every council member feels comfortable that it should be an add-on. That's why the law requires a unanimous vote. I'm not making this
No,
stuff
that was
up.
changed under the general administration. We're familiar with that.
Okay, that is the open meeting statute. I won't tell you what the law is.
But, well,
I didn't make it.
first of all, committee meetings, the loose definition of a committee is a working group, okay? As Mr. Tiller said, how can we work if we can't discuss a thing? If we're not taking a vote on it that night, and we're already moving it till 2 weeks or the Wednesday night, I still can't understand how that would violate. And I'm not an attorney, but I can't see how that violates the open meeting law if we're not taking any action on it at that point.
It's clear. It would be, you would be subverting the law. You don't have to vote on something to have an open meeting violation. Okay? You don't have to be taking action to have an open meeting violation. And I've rendered the opinions, I've given the cases, and I've given the AG opinions. You would be subverting what the law's doing. So let's just create a side meeting, we're gonna do what we want, and then come the night of the night we're supposed to discuss it, we won't discuss anything.
No one assumed that you wouldn't discuss it again when the public is here.
The bottom line is that you have to, on an ordinance, very simple. It's gotta be, we will operate by an agenda, it's gotta be noticed, it's gotta be published, it cannot be debated. And Robert's rule says the same thing as what the law says.
Okay, and look, I don't have a problem with us, if that is gonna be it, then we need to do it 100% of the time, okay?
I
'Cause
think
we
it's
have,
pretty well being followed.
I differ with that, but in any event, there's more light.
Ms. Drummond, do you need Mr. Hebert? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hebert. Ms. Drummond.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tillman, for bringing this up, because this has been a topic of discussion, it seems like, for the last 30 years. I appreciate you guys supporting as chairwoman of this council, myself and Mr. Amity, as well as having discussions with our staff, as well as the other chairmen of the committees, have all come to consensus that we are going to do our best to not have any more add-ons, as well as we're going to abide by our deadlines, as Friday at 12 o'clock for a committee, and Monday at 12 o'clock. And there's some department heads in the audience, and so I'm glad you guys are here to hear this. Monday at 12 o'clock for our council agenda. And we are going to try to hold to that, because one, it's not fair to the staff to have to scramble and get these things on the agenda, but it's not fair to us also, because we have to research and read these things as well and prepare to vote on these items. So we're going to work on this very diligently this year. The second thing is, and this happened last week, whenever we have someone up from the public who comes up and wants to discuss, and we want to discuss, let's just make a motion to discuss, and then it puts them on the floor and everyone can discuss it. And so I've spoken to Mr. Amity about that as well, and we'll go ahead and do that each and every time. That way we stay consistent. So if there's ever something that you guys want to discuss with whoever it is out there, just make a motion to discuss, and then that way we can stay consistent, and then everybody can have whatever discussion it is that they are with. So I just appreciate you guys having this conversation tonight.
And the motion to discuss will need to be unanimous, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Drummond. And I'd like to make a comment. I feel like over the last 7 years, we've progressively gotten to where we've stifled the public's ability to come and speak openly with us, and we've stifled the council's ability to speak on things. And I agree 100% with what you say, Mr. Tillman, and it's very disappointing that it's going to that way. But we need to try to jump through some hoops to stay within what we're told the law is, and what And what we need to do, and maybe one of those things we can do, is when there's an introduction of an ordinance, the previous agenda item could be discussion on whether or not we choose to introduce the ordinance to say such and such. And then the next agenda item would be to actually introduce the ordinance. So let's add an agenda item before every single ordinance so we can discuss it. What do y'all think of that? Anybody have a comment? Okay, thank you. Okay. Seeing no further lights, thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Tillman. Item 2, resolution affirming support of Gulf hypoxia mapping cruises. Moved by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Second by Mr. Danny Bowden. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3, approve the annual fire dispatch agreement between Terrebonne Parish Communications District and Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government, City of Houma Fire Department, and the Fire Department cost of fire dispatching services.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Harding, second by Ms. Gomez. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, resolution giving notice of intent to adopt an ordinance to dedicate and accept the maintenance and operation of the streets, drainage servitudes, utilities, gas, sewer, and rights of way for Summerfield Place subdivision, addendum number 18, phase B. Energize and accept the street lights and to incorporate the extension of Newsom Drive and the extension of Rebecca Drive into the enhanced 911 emergency response system for the purpose of providing a better means of locating addresses, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, February 8th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Moved by Mrs. Aaron Gidry, second by Mr. Harding. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 5 and 6, can we do those together?
Yes.
Pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42-16-17, the Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee may convene into executive session in order to discuss the following: Wayne M. Sears, B. number 185730, CW 185853, B. Corey DePlanis et al., 32nd Judicial District Court, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana, and also Aubrey P. Dehart Jr., V. number 190722, American Alternative Insurance Company, et al., 32nd Judicial District Court, Terrebonne Parish, Louisiana. All in favor of going into executive session? Any opposed? Okay, who needs to be there? And is it the same group for both?
Yeah, same group, it's gonna be the same group for both. We need the members of the committee and the council. And the committee is the parish president, the council president, council chair, Ken Small from the finance office, Ms. Article, and myself, and the parish president. I'm here for Florida tonight, so, but we can do them both at the same time. All the lawyers are present. Take it up.
Okay.
They coming in too.
Okay.
I guess that, yes.
And just for clarification,
Michelle, I guess Michelle coming in.
for clarification, Mr. Abar said he is here in the absence of the parish president.
Yes.